Hello everyone! My name is Andressa Maia, and in this video I will tell you 10 must-know things to master Brazilian Portuguese. Now, before starting to talk about the topic of this video, I want to say thank you for all of the messages, comments, and emails saying you have missed me and asking me to start making videos again. Now I'm back, and I'm very glad to be back. But also, you can follow me on Instagram, where I'm constantly sharing tips. And if you would like to have private lessons with me, there is a link in the description where you can message me directly and I will tell you how you can become my student. Now, about this video. If you are a beginner, you can use this list as a guide to help you throughout your learning journey. But if you are not a beginner and you have been studying Portuguese for a while and maybe you feel like you don't know what you should study now, you can also use this list to find out which topic you should focus on and, work more. Okay? Now, let's go to the video. Number one thing you must know, pronouns. And when I say pronouns, I mean pronouns in general. You have personal pronouns like I, you, he, she, and you have possessive pronouns, my, your, his, her, demonstrative pronouns, these, those, that. So knowing how to say this in Portuguese is very important, especially because in Portuguese we have the variation according to number and gender, so feminine, masculine, plural, singular. And also, what is really useful to know, which pronouns we actually don't use in real life. For example, if you get a book, you will find the conjugations with pronouns like tu and vós, and we actually don't use them. So knowing this kind of thing helps you to eliminate things you actually don't need to pay attention, okay? Number two is the difference between ser and estar. You probably already know that the verb to be in Portuguese can be both ser and estar, and each one is used in a different situation depending on the context and depending on the idea you want to express. And knowing this from the beginning is really fundamental, okay? I have a video about it. I will leave the link here in the description. Number three is basics of conjugation. So when I say basics of conjugation, I mean you must know the pattern of conjugation. So there is a pattern that all regular verbs will follow. So from the moment you learn the pattern, you know how to conjugate all regular verbs because they will all follow the same rule. And the basics that you need to know, talking about tenses, you must know. You must know simple present and you must know past tense. And knowing past tense means knowing that we have two types of past tense in Brazilian Portuguese: pretérito perfeito and pretérito imperfeito. Each pretérito is used to express a different idea of past, and studying them and knowing how to use them is also very important. I also have videos about it, and I will leave the link here in the description. Number four, tenses we don't use. So when we start talking about conjugation, this can be very scary because there are many tenses, there are so many conjugations. And if you just study by yourself and you go to a website of verb conjugation in Brazilian Portuguese, it will show you all the possible tenses. And if you just go there and study all of them, you will be overwhelmed and you will be actually studying things that you will never use. So knowing the tenses that we don't use in real life helps you to focus on what is really important. I also have a video about the tenses we don't use, and I will leave the link here in the description. Number five, articles. So we have definite and indefinite articles. Like in English, you have the house and a house. Also in Portuguese. The difference in Portuguese, once again, mainly is the gender. So our articles, they will vary if the next word is a feminine word, is masculine, if it's singular, if it's plural. So learning when to use each pronoun helps you a lot. Number six is prepositions and its combinations. So what is important to study and learn about prepositions is that they can combine with pronouns and with articles that come after them. For example, you have do and da, which is the combination between the preposition de and the articles a and o. And you have words like naquele or nesta, which are the combinations of the preposition em and the pronouns aquele and esta. So this is the kind of thing you must pay attention when you study prepositions. We use these contractions a lot. Number 7 is one of my favorite topics, gender of words. So many people think if it ends in a, it's feminine. If it ends in o, it's masculine. And not really. There are many exceptions, there are many patterns and rules that help you to find out if a word is masculine or feminine in Brazilian Portuguese. And this can confuse even advanced learners. That's why it's one of my favorite topics. So I recommend you to really study it. I've made a whole guide about it. I will leave the link here in the description, so make sure you watch it. Number 8 is irregular verbs. Now, I've said before that when you start learning conjugation, the basics of conjugation, you will learn the patterns. And knowing the pattern will help you to conjugate all regular verbs because regular verbs follow the patterns. Irregular verbs don't follow the pattern. So you need to study each irregular verb individually. Getting a list of the most useful, most used, most common irregular verbs in Portuguese is very useful because then you can focus on those irregular verbs that you really will use. Okay? Number 9 is another topic that can be kind of scary, but you really should just, go for it. It's the subjunctive in Brazilian Portuguese. We actually use the subjunctive a lot in many situations. The subjunctive is used when we are expressing hypotheses, when we express possibilities, conditions, wishes. So it's very important to know how to conjugate verbs in the subjunctive. Of course, this is not the first thing you're going to study. You need to know the basics of conjugation first. You need to get familiarized with verb conjugation, and then you move on to study the subjunctive. It's very important. Finally, number 10 is pronunciation. It might seem quite obvious, but to be able to communicate well, you need to take time to study and practice pronunciation. You know, the tricky sounds, the nasal sounds, the letter R, the letter S, the combination of CH and H, and mainly how we pronounce vowels. These are very important things, so record yourself speaking. Ask someone to check your pronunciation if you have friends in Brazil. This is very important for your communication. Now, one last tip. Having someone to check your progress, to tell you where you need to focus, what you need to improve. This is very useful, very important, and I can help you with that. As I said in the beginning, if you need someone to guide you throughout your learning process, you can click in the link on the description and I will tell you how you can become my student, okay? I will be more than happy to help you with that. Now tell me in the comments, what do you think of this list with the 10 must-know things to master Brazilian Portuguese? Do you struggle with one of these topics? You can find here in the description as well links for videos I've made before that will help you with these topics, and you can also tell me, would you like me to make a video more specific about one of these things? Just let me know. I really want to hear from you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.